Okay.
Щедрик, щедрик, щедрівочка, he flew the swallow from afar, started to sing lightly loud, asking the master to come out. Come here, O kind master, it's time in the sheepfold wonders to find. Your lovely sheep have given birth to little lambs of great worth. All of your wares are very fine, coin you will have in a big pile. All of your wares are very fine, coin you will have in a big pile. You have a white fair as a dove, if not the coin, then the chaff. You have a white fair as a dove. Щедрик, щедрик, щедрівочка, прилетіла ластівочка, стала собі щебетати, господаря викликати. Живи ти, господарю, подивися на кошару, там овечки покотилися, ягнички народились. Тебе товар весь хороший, будеш мати мірку грошей. Тебе товар весь хороший, будеш мати мірку грошей. Тебе жінка чорноброва, хоч не розчіто полова. Тебе жінка чорноброва, щедрик, щедрик, щедрівочка, прилетіла ластівочка.
What do you think of that?
Lovely. I could again see you performing that. Really, you could. That would suit your voice quite well.
That was Ilana, I believe her name is, or Ilana. And she is a Ukrainian folk singer. And that was the original Ukrainian version of that particular song that, bells and it actually comes from a Ukrainian folk song. And so she was able to create that beautiful sound.
Beautiful sound.
Yeah, and to replicate, and to redo it. She did it in the Ukrainian folk tradition, but she did it in the English also, which I thought was really great.
Well, I loved how soothing it was. I think a lot of us are in need of being mollified, being soothed, what's going on in the news, but also just holiday stress. This is supposed to be a happy time, but most people I know are very stressed out right now. Last minute things to take care of.
People are scared too,
People are very scared right now.
People are scared. They feel like they don't, particularly I'm seeing a lot of anxiety with people that voted for Donald Trump. And my heart goes out to them, the farmers, the people in middle America, that they're not sitting and watching the news 24 hours a day. They've got crops to plant and, they tend to vote Republican. The guy said he would be good for the economy. And they're coming now to this horrible realization that this guy is a con artist and he's got nothing to offer them.
It's what we have known. It's just that there are people now. It's ironic they call us woke, and these are the people who are actually waking up right now. They place their trust in him. But when you said they don't watch news, a lot of them, if they do, it's something like Fox News, which tends to launder a lot of the stuff going on in the Trump administration and not presenting it factually. I have a friend in Canada. She tells me the news there. She said there's so much that we don't see on our news here. And from your own travels, Whimsy, when you've been in hotel rooms, you've watched local news, like in Europe, the news is often a very different.
Well, they have reporters in the field, and you don't see that on CNN really, but that often. It's real news where they'll say so-and-so in Cairo, and you'll see things happening on the ground. But they got rid of all of that. And it's just a bunch of people sitting in a studio getting paid AFTRA SAG scale to sit around
Talking
and
heads.
to basically do what you and I do, which is to throw cards and pontificate about what they think might happen, and that's not the news. We
No.
advertise this strictly for entertainment purposes
Yes, we do.
only. But cable news, I mean, where are the reporters? Where is the field? When are they? Once in a while, they'll go out into the field,
Yeah.
but not usually.
What's a lot of budget cuts? They've just cut and cut and cut, and this is what we're left with. And there's even speculation CNN may not even survive much longer. I've seen stories.
Really interesting.
Well, I think part of it has to do with the mergers, and I forget who owns CNN. But, we're hearing all the stories right now about the Warner Brothers. Netflix trying to acquire Warner Brothers, and Paramount's trying to step in also, and somewhere CNN is in the mix of all of that. And I've just seen a few stories here and there saying this may not be good because their ratings have been steadily declining, and sure, for reasons that you just pointed out.
Scary. Well, Chuck, who's with us today? Let's go ahead and greet everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a crazy news cycle. And let's go ahead and welcome everybody, and then we'll get the show started.
Let's welcome some people here. Well, right off the top here, Gigi Pardo Lord, 2372. Eileen Levin, did I say your name correctly? I hope I did. Joel Tilson, our fabulous floor director. We're always grateful to you, Joel. Intuitive Kathy. Hi, Intuitive Kathy. Ann Coleman, 6064, Rockin' Pony Lady, one of my favorite names on here, Renee Ament -X4H. I hope
I just wanted to mention what Geocosmic Valentine's, people can get the news on YouTube. So if you want to watch the Canada news or the European news, I've started boycotting Al Jazeera after October 7th, which the money got traced back to Qatar. So I used to watch Al Jazeera, but now I don't watch them.
Yeah.
Bad. But I think it's a great idea. I just wanted to point that out.
Well, speaking of YouTube, did you see about the Oscars? I don't mean to change subjects so rapidly, but the contract with the ABC network runs out in about 3 years, and the Oscars are going to YouTube. That's going to be the new home.
Wow, you and I got in at the right time. It's so interesting because I know he's an actor. He's in the union. He's like a real actor. And I know that you and I have talked about auditions are low. And what's the feeling right now in LA for actors? What's
it's not, well, a lot of the work is leaving Los Angeles, and we've known this for years. It's been hemorrhaging out because there are not enough incentives, financial incentives. That's why there are studios in places like Wilmington, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Is that why you decided to go onto YouTube? Because all the actors are and also to showcase yourself as an actor. I think it's also great. People can see you as an announcer, and they can see you in different things.
Well, I'm loving what I'm doing, and I have you to thank for this, because
thank you, sweetheart.
I wouldn't be here without you. You were the one who persuaded me, and I love all you wonderful people out there. And
I think a lot of actors feel like, oh my God, I'm slumming it at YouTube. But now I see Maya Bialik and all these other actors are like, forget that crap. The YouTube is where the action is. Humble yourself, child. Just go where the work is. Also, it gives you an opportunity to be the producer. You're able to control your own, what you put out.
Yeah.
And the money goes 100% to you. You're not having to give part to your manager, part to, your agent, this sort of thing. So that's also really good, I think.
Yeah, but I do have you to thank for this. You are the reason I'm here.
You're very sweet.
You're even the reason I even do my little thing on Mondays, my little thing. But this is an exciting new world to be in.
Well, I think you have years of acting talent to actually that prepped you for this. But
shucks.
All right. So listen, folks, we have a new book of the month. I know Chuck has not had a chance to order his yet.
Yeah.
The book of the month, I'm very excited about it, is called The Trouble with Truth, and the author is Elizabeth Kelly Stevenson. The Trouble with Truth. This is going to be your Christmas read if you can get the order in now. So I'll read the back of it.
Beth can right now.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna literally order it right now.
Yeah, and give the bill to let me know so the company can pay you for that. Beth considers these words as she answers her counselor's questions at the first of many sessions. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. She's thinking of her own self-destructive behavior. Beth's recent relationships have been disasters. Her alcoholic first husband threatened her with a gun. Her subsequent live-in boyfriend wanted a carbon copy of his last girlfriend. She's in a career she hates, feeling adrift and alone. With the help of renowned psychotherapist and author Reclaiming Your Life, Jean C. Jensen, Beth faces the truth about her past. She realizes she wants a man who sees and loves the real Beth, but now knows she doesn't need a relationship to be happy. And as if the universe was waiting for the realization, the right man and career appear. A true story of personal transformation akin to the works of Anne Lamott, who I love, by the way, and Mary Carr. The trouble with truth reminds readers to see the world with clarity and honesty. And I was a neat, you know, how you pick up a book. We get about 20, 30 contributions a month now. You know, we get a lot of contributions.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I told you I used to work with a literary agent. We would get about 200 submissions.
I hate to turn people down. But this one, about once a month we pick up our pile of books, and I separate them out and I look at what most likely is going to work. But I just loved, I was grabbed by, first off, the story, the way because I've had this life, I've had this life of being this person, but I also liked the title, and I also liked her subhead. Her various chapters are pretty great, like the eclipse of the heart, wake up and live, stoned Eliza, strange days, codependence. Oh my God, this is life. This is life for many of us. So yeah, I believe you can get the book at Amazon.com.
I am going to literally hit buy now.
Right. All right. Awesome.
You know what I love about Amazon? It's instant gratification. I've had a lot of people.
No, that's when it's dangerous. I spend so much money. So have you seen my latest acquisition from Amazon? Something I've always wanted.
Oh no, what is it?
A real crystal ball.
Oh,
it's really expensive. But
oh my
I figure
God.
it's a write-off.
Well, for you, you're a professional psychic. Yes.
Puppies!
Yeah. Puppies are making free. Oh my gosh, it's I'd love to see it up close. I'm so proud of you.
I'm scared. I almost dropped it once.
Oh no.
It's supposed to be a really good one with only a few. Okay, you can see it here. You can see like in this is a clear crystal.
Yeah.
But crystals tend to have cuts and different grooves in them. And you see that center area, this light part, that's the crack. You can see the light shining through the crack. Yeah. And it reminds me, so it's not perfect, and no crystal is really perfect. They all have a crack, and that is how the light gets through.
Isn't that just like us? We're not perfect. We have cracks, but somehow the light shines.
Yeah, all in the center. Yeah. And I think there might be a small crystal baby in the center that's causing that.
Oh my God.
Right in the center. Can you see it? Can you see that light? Can you see the light right here? It's bouncing off. You see the deflection of the light?
Yeah.
That's from the crack.
Whimsy, have you used the ball to make predictions? Or
I got the ball today. And I felt energetically something really strange. Like, I'll be honest with you, this is the first real crystal ball. They're like $150, $200 these things, right?
Yeah.
But I was going to get a pink one, and then I felt something told me, no, I just want to get a clear one.
I feel you want just a very basic clear.
Yeah. So this is a basic clear one. And I just felt like, what the weird thing is about a crystal ball, if you haven't bought one yet, is you can get the small, less expensive ones if you can't afford the full size. I didn't know I was paying for the full size, but it was like, had these rave reviews. It was like $174. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's going to look great on my table, and it's going to help me meditate and do remote viewing.
Oh,
And I feel, you know what's really weird, Chuck?
what are you feeling?
I feel like I got almost like a trance. I started looking at it, and I was like, it has a baby crystal inside. And then I found myself like you can does anybody realize this? Trancing with a crystal is very easy. Do you see the light now? Can you see the light now? Do you see the two dots?
I can see that. Yes.
Yeah, that's the baby.
Oh my gosh. You should put
Inside
it
the
in front of
crystal.
you and start working with it.
Scared, I almost dropped it.
Oh
It's
my
really
gosh.
heavy.
Use it on the show.
heavy.
You know, you can write it off as a business expense, you know.
Yeah, it is a tax write-off because
Yeah.
it is for business. But
I'd
I
love
thought
to see
people
you
would love it.
watching
Yeah, they're
watching you in action. use it.
so this is the full size. It's 6.5 inches full size, but you can get the smaller ones. You can get the half size, which is like 1 to 2 inches, and that's going to be a lot less expensive. You can get them for like $25, $35, the small ones. And some people will meditate in the small ones. I might get myself a couple small ones. I might get myself the rose quartz and the other the crystals that are different color. But the main one, something told me, no, Whimsy, you want to get the clear. Get the clear for your main one, and then the smaller stones, I could get a smoky, or I can get the cloudy one. They also have the gray cloudy, which is gorgeous. But this is the main one, and then I'll get the smaller ones around it.
Yeah.
I'm totally into it, people.
I'm excited for you. I bet you're going to be teaching classes.
I think
how
it's
to use a crystal ball. You're going to master it.
Well, you start to look. Well, what happened was I got it out of the ball, and I'm like, whoa, this is really heavy. And I put it on a stand. If I crack it, no. And so I finally got it into position, and then I started holding it, and then I started meditating, and I felt all my energy go into the ball.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing I'm seeing crystals within crystals, and then I found myself like you are getting very sleepy, and I was like. And I'm like, whoa, this stuff really works. I don't know how the heck people discover this stuff.
I don't know. You make me want to research crystal balls now, like the history. I'm what you just said about the witch and the Wizard of Oz, but I'm remembering also the wizard at the beginning in the black and white sequence. Oh, let me consult my crystal. And he puts the turban on like Johnny Carson,
Yeah, you can get, like, they have cheap ones. I paid for an expensive large one.
Well, you deserve it.
You can get fake ones made of plastic and stupid stuff like that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get a real crystal ball.
Yeah.
So these are the smaller ones if other people are interested. Look at how some of them are just gorgeous. But this one, this is what I'm saying. This is a small one you would hold in your hand. It's kind of, the base is not nice. I wanted a good quality base. This one is 3.5 inches, only $16. But I don't know if that's a real crystal.
Seems to me it should be a real crystal. Do you think there'd really be any power to a plastic ball?
I think anything you gaze at or concentrate on. See, this is just Pyrex with color inside, like a Pyrex glass.
Those look more decorative.
I think that you're going to get some meditative abilities from that, but it's not the same as something like this, which this will run you $30 for a small version. But you can see this is what I mean. There's stones within stones, and that's what you start to see when you get a real crystal, and you get what you pay for, man. So I wanted to get something that was really stylish, and so I'm glad I did it. I
think it's what you personally resonate with. It might be the $30 crystal ball, or it might be the $200 one. It's just what feels right to you intuitively. And this is what you were drawn to. You reminded me, one of the hardest paintings I ever did in my life. Somebody wanted me to paint a crystal ball on a stand.
Oh, interesting.
I had to go through so many versions before I got that correct. It was so hard trying to capture all those little reflections and the way things were shaped and distorted inside the ball. It was a very difficult thing to do.
You might want to invest in a a camera optica, one of those camera lucidas. What are they called? You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking.
yeah, camera
Yeah,
Lucinda or Lucida.
yeah,
Lucinda, I think. Yeah.
yeah. They have them now available. They have modern ones. They run $30, and you'll have it reflected back onto your canvas.
That's what a lot of the great masters did.
Yeah, they have modern ones now that'll run you $35 in, use them in art schools, and that might be the way to sketch something like that, I would
Well,
think.
yeah, but this wasn't just sketching. This was painting it. This was very, very involved.
Right.
And there's only so much, like with a Lucinda, you can maybe trace the outline of it, but once you start painting it, that's where you have to really draw upon your own skills. And I did it, but it was very challenging. But you know me, I love challenges.
You do.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to give blessings to all of you for being here. We're going to go ahead and we'll blitz away pretty soon. We've got a couple things. We'll go through a couple questions first. We have 344 people here. Thank you so much for being here. I know it means the world to Chuck and to myself that you take time out of your day to spend it with us. We don't take anyone for granted. I also wanted to give gratitude to people who send cards and gifts to me. I know that I had said that Marie Teresa Patton, thank you so much again. She sent me a bunch of herbs from her garden. I do use them.
Perfect.
And I'm very grateful. I also want to give a shout out to Maria Castro. Maria, I did receive your card. Thank you so much. Chuck and I love hearing from all of you. You will be probably hearing, if you are a client, hopefully Chuck will be able to get to everyone before Christmas and New Year's to wish everyone. He tries so hard, and no, you don't have to buy anything. We just want to reach out and wish you a happy holidays and connect to you. It means everything to us when we get cards.
Like to do it.
When people connect with us.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's
no. In all seriousness, I love talking with all.
Yeah,
of you.
yeah.
It's such a treat when one of you picks up the phone, recognizes my voice, and we just start talking about the show and whatever else you want to chat about. It's really good because then when I see your names in the comments, it's like, wow, this is just a big family here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good. And wasn't Marion Haley Moss wonderful? She wrote our guest the other day. She wrote me a lovely email letter, and I haven't had a chance to answer it yet. But Marion, if you're watching, please know I'll write you a response soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do we have here from
bank run on Russian banks inside Moscow today? Is the Russian economy actually collapsing? Whimsy, I was under the impression the Russian economy had been collapsing for quite some time.
It's interesting. When they started to fire the Wagner Group, it was when they had run out of money to pay private armies. And I think that was a lesson for the United States, that we can't afford a private army either. And they go with the private army because the private armies can break the rules, can break the Constitution of Russia. Same with the United States. They can go in, these private contractors, and do things that U.S. service people are not allowed to do, and they get paid more, but they also have no loyalty to the country. They're not necessarily, they're soldiers of fortunes that are brutal, brutal people who do brutal, brutal things to protect the interests of millionaires and billionaires and trade routes. And so I understand we need trade routes, and I understand we want to keep our oil prices down, but it can bankrupt a country if you're in a war and you can't pay your private soldiers. So that was the beginning of the end for their economy, was when they had to start firing their private contractors, and they couldn't accept the fact that they were losing the war. So they started borrowing from everybody. They even started using North Korean troops at one point because they didn't have any money. And the North Koreans had never been in combat. They only knew how to terrorize their own citizens, but they had never been in an actual war with anybody. So they simply ran to their deaths while being shot to death in some kind of bizarro sense of loyalty to Kim Jong-un, because they were doing his bidding. So he went and sacrificed a bunch of people who didn't mean anything to him anyway to go and die. They weren't competent soldiers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And the last vision I had, Putin was turning on his own church. So a little bit
Yeah. I was just going to say that he's raiding the churches for their gold, their
that is absolutely
treasures. That's
true. Yes.
desperation, you know.
So
And
when we
and we know he's been sending like teenage boys, that like 14-year-olds out on the front lines because the armies are so depleted.
right, and I think the other thing that people need to realize is that there was a huge revolution that took place in Britain where the Catholic Church collapsed, and you had the Church of England under King Henry VIII. And so the head of the church is the royal family. So when people were scapegoating, oh, it's the fault of the Jews, Epstein, nobody wanted to touch the Church of England, even though his brother is the head of the Church of England, right? So that was the kind of control that Putin wanted. He wanted the control of being the head of the church. And so when we look at Putin and we look at Putin's relationship with the church, that's exactly what we're talking about. He rules, and he is the head of the church, just as King Charles is the head of the British church. And this is
Church of
really
England.
right. And so, but what we have to understand is that the church is rabidly anti-Semitic. They were fueling the pogroms and the genocide against the Jewish people in Eastern Europe, which is what drove the Jewish people out of Eastern Europe to Palestine, by the way, was the Russian church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the pogroms. And so I think it was naive to assume that Putin was going to all of a sudden be a friend to the Jewish people, a friend of Israel, that he was, that he was going to become this incredibly tolerant person when he fashioned himself as the head of this church with a notoriously anti-Semitic, racist track record. Doesn't like black people either. They want only a white nation, white as the snow. The Russians should be as pure as the Russian snow, right?
The driven
It's kind
snow.
of glorification of inbreeding of the white people. So it's a eugenic vision. It's a Victorian eugenic vision coming straight from Great Britain, because this is what the Victorians under Queen Victoria thought, that the sun was never going to set on Queen Victoria's, and they believed in eugenics, which was, they invented this science where they were 100% convinced that the British royal families had the highest IQ. They created the IQ test, and then they created the answers, which would show that they were the smartest people because they were the ones that wrote the questions.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So Galton,
Isn't that a genius?
I believe his name was Sir Francis Galton. He was the cousin of Darwin. And that was what people thought back then. They thought that if you were going to evolve towards, further from the ape, it was because you were of the white race and you were the aristocrats. And it was an attempt to justify the aristocrats being in control and not giving power to the socialist. And so there was a socialist revolution again to break free of the church and these eugenic ideas. So the Jews ran from Eastern Europe, and they ran from the church, which was very closely connected to Queen Victoria and these incredibly racist ideas, which the church has retained to this day. And so Putin is the head of that church. So what's happening with this church now that Russia is bankrupted? Well, all the money that he and his henchmen, when 10% of their theft went to the church in forgiveness donations, right? Tithing so that they wouldn't go to hell for all the horrible, terrible things they had done, right?
Yeah.
So this is so now he's thinking, how can I raid the church? Because the only people right now that are left with money is his church.
Yeah. And as
Isn't that
head of the church,
crazy?
he probably sees it as his property.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, don't you just think this whole thing is absolutely insane?
Well, of course it's insane. I just keep thinking of how Donald Trump uses religion, or at least he tries to, organized religion, fundamentalist Christianity, and so forth. And when we've seen where that's gone. Let's see, Joel Tilson, Russian officials making more threats to Europe today. I didn't see it. You know, I did a quick, a scan of news stories today. I didn't see that. Did you see that, Whimsy?
I think Putin called them little piggies.
Little
Dun,
pig.
dun,
Oh,
dun, dun, little piggies. Yes,
how ironic.
you
Little
called the
piggy.
European leaders little. You're all a bunch of little piggies.
Well, and remember I said there's such parallels with Trump, who just recently called a female reporter piggy.
Yes, and he keeps encroaching on NATO space to try. What you going to do about it? What you going to do about it? Like I think he encroached on Estonia today.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
So in addition to that, all roads and rail lines cut off from Kaliningrad in the last few days. Here's my feeling about this, you guys. I think that the data is irrefutable that Putin has to be removed. Would you agree, Chuck?
Oh, yes. Well, we've been saying that for quite a while.
Would you agree? I want to also go on record and say that I do real research, that there's, meditation where we try to get into the heads of another person and see what they're feeling and thinking. We do that, but we also do real research. And so I want to paraphrase. Right. So,
Grok calling him the most dangerous man in the world.
Grok did, but so did ChatGPT and everybody else. So I just want to say that when this was a 3-day period of me doing research, and I didn't expect anybody to listen to me. I'm a nobody. I know I'm just a little whimsy, right? But I thought it would be interesting challenge with supercomputers to see if we could find out how to keep people alive. Like what are if you're looking at fear of war, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking about, I want to keep people from dying, what do I have to do to keep people from dying? I just thought it would be interesting. What would the computer come up with? And this is the 5 phases that the computers agreed on. And what's interesting is that we were able to kind of find out what the United States under Biden, what the intelligence agencies were planning, because we were asking the same questions that they're asking. Don't you think that's amazing, Chuck?
It's astounding how accessible this information really is.
Right. If you ask the right question, yeah.
You just have to phrase the questions correctly.
Right. So Grok in December 20th of 2023 said that this is what the intelligence agencies should do: get to ceasefire in Gaza, exchange the hostages, and lure Hamas to a host country, and then begin the rebuild. And once you get that settled, move your attention to Putin and contain him and remove him. So my feeling is that if they're going to do this, they're not going to tell the general public, but you and I know, because we crunched the numbers and we played with supercomputers, and we accidentally fell upon. First off, the first 3 phases were adopted by Biden and Trump because that was the data that the intelligence agencies came to, because they were asking the same exact questions. How do we keep people alive? Isn't that incredible that we were able to find out what they were doing? No, they're listening to you, Whimsy. You have the pot. No, I don't believe that. I think it was just an accident that we started asking the right questions, and then the computer started pumping out the same information it was giving the Pentagon and everybody else. That's what I think happened. But we can pretend that I'm running the show. Yeah. No, but what's interesting is that we got the compute. We are aligned with Israel, NATO, the United States, etc. This is the 3 phases adopted by the United Nations Council as well. That's part of. So the next question we all have to ask is, does that mean number 4 is next up? You see what I'm saying? So if they're planning on, you see how I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So, and we already had begun to dismantle Iranian leadership by dismantling first their proxies, which is how Syria collapsed. So they started doing that too.
Yeah.
So, and they've already said that Iran and Russia will not be part of the Abraham Accords, that they can't be bribed. So I think if the computer steered us right, and it appears that the computer steered us right, Putin, they're probably planning on removing him, and it's not public information. That's what I don't know. What do you think, Chuck?
Well, I mean, we've been reading on this. in an unscientific way, we've been, with our cards, we've been getting this for months and months. It's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm also struck by, it seems to be coinciding with Donald Trump's removal. It's like both men may go around the same time. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, as you saw, the computer was doing its thing, December 20th, 2023, and I said, I wanted it to be as few words as possible and then
Yeah.
just send it.
Yeah.
I was really desperate to help. I don't know if what they adopted. I'm feeling like some of my ideas were adopted, but when something horrible happens like a war, every civilian wants to just help. How can I help? But the other thing I would just say is, and I went back and I rechecked this a couple of days ago, and because you all asked me to check with Chat GPT, I took what Grok had gotten it down to 6 things. And I had gone back about the Abraham Accords, and they were like, warning, do not give them money. They'll just use it to kill you, right? Like, so then I took it and I also went to Chat GPT, and Chat GPT agreed with the phases. They didn't talk about China. Maybe I got to go back and ask about China. But I think they think that we can work some trade out with China.
Yeah.
Like, it would devastate us economically to take out China. We're too dependent.
Did you take those actual sentences from Grok and feed them into Chat GPT, or did you have to rephrase it?
Yeah, I took.
So it's like a checks and balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also checked with others, with a couple of other sites as well. And what they said was, a few days ago, I checked again, and the computer said he remains the greatest existential threat to the planet. Putin. Danger, danger, danger. We are moving towards a minute to midnight. The nuclear weapon, we could be at a nuclear, he must be removed. Warning. I mean, you can't sit around and philosophize, but you also can't be public and say, you got a guy, he's holding a country hostage, Ukraine, he's got guns, he's got the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, he can blow the whole thing up. This guy is mentally unstable, he's broke, and he's increasingly desperate.
Same thing could be said about Donald Trump.
Right.
He's really desperate, and he's got his hands literally on the nuclear codes. Both of these men represent such a threat to our planet, to humanity. But but it's interesting that Putin was found to be the worst threat, because I think Trump has to be not too far behind. See,
this is what Grok is talking about. They're now encroaching on NATO. What are we going to do? Just let them march and take our country, take the West? I mean, there really is no choice. They really are going to have to remove this guy. I tried so many ways to avoid this with the computer, and the computer kept saying, I know what you're trying to do there. Like the data is the data. This guy has threatened, I'm going to blow up Zaporizhzhia nuclear. It's the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. I'm going to kill you all. I mean, this guy, he is a psychopath. This guy's got to be removed.
Oh, sure. Well, all that nuclear radiation would just envelop the entire planet. It's such a cliche, but nobody wins a nuclear war.
Yeah. So as far as, look, we can be emotional about it, and Elon Musk has definitely weighed in many, many times on it's an open conversation. The 5 phases is an open conversation because everybody has started calculating, and everybody's like, these are the phases. And Elon has said, no, we should just end the war and give Putin what he wants, because this is a meat grinder and people are dying. And that's just makes no sense to me.
No, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Because he'll just refuel and get more powerful and then attack more parts of the West.
Exactly.
And the computer agreed with me. And so I'm like, why would a guy who's supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world, who funded Grok, be disagreeing with Grok? That doesn't even that's what I couldn't figure out. Your own computer doesn't agree with you, Mr. Musk.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Whimsy?
He's being emotional and not logical and not looking at data, which is what I've come out publicly and said. The data is the data. I didn't do this. I mean, like, this is not, don't put it on me, man. I was trying to save the guy. I tried, got to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's like, when you're threatening nuclear war and you're as dangerous as this guy, there is no plan B. So
No.
we can be. I think the takeaway here that everybody needs to take away, because they've already unveiled that they're following the first three. We can assume that that is exactly what they're planning, but they're not going to talk about it publicly.
No.
And I think that Putin knows that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we can't get him out to that castle in Siberia fast enough. Remember, we were predicting that last summer, that he would be exiled to Siberia, but probably some palatial mansion or something. He'll be under house arrest or something like that.
That's what former Russian, people that are people that are experts in Russian diplomacy have said, that they will never turn him over to the West. It will never happen. They never have, and they never will. It's simply not done in Russia. We're not going to turn our people over to the Hague to be tried.
I was just going to say, to the Hague to be tried. Yeah.
That's what we want, but there's no way. The best we can hope for is that they're going to give him a nice life, just like they did with Gorbachev and Yeltsin. Go retire somewhere and never be seen again. All right. So are we ready to do the impasse prayer and do some blitzes?
Okay. All right. Joel had a question here, but do you want to go on with the blitzes? Well, because I know a lot of people are probably wanting to talk about this one. I don't know if you want to do it or do it later.
No, please go ahead.
Okay. Joel Tilson's asking, was Trump in a manic state last night during his speech? I read all kinds of pieces today, people speculating that he was high last night. I read somewhere that his doctors actually had to come up with a combination of sedating him and yet filling him with enough Adderall to get him pumped up. And Whimsy as a doctor, that's a very delicate balance. But I think we can all agree.
Some weed.
I think we can all agree it was a bizarre speech last night, and I think it sabotaged him even further. He looked very bad last night. Someone today was saying they tried to in real time check his lies, and he was going so fast with the lies they couldn't keep up. Trying to check things on the computer and on the phone. He was just spewing out all these bizarre figures, like claiming that the tariffs have brought in trillions of dollars, not billions, not millions, but trillions of dollars. Claiming, what's he saying? He's going to send a check for $1,776 to every service person, every veteran, and that it's being paid for by tariffs. And never mind that something like that normally would have to be authorized by Congress. He's just going all over the place. Or was going all over the place.
So do you think that he knows it's over? Because that's how I felt as I sat in meditation last night.
I do. Donald Trump has always been very astute about the media, how to utilize the media, his presence on the media. And I have to think instinctively he must know. He must know he's off his game. We both came to the same conclusion. I watched your 11-minute piece you did today, and I got the same hit beforehand that the magic is gone. This is a man, love him or hate him, he was always charismatic, always knew how to have his finger on the pulse of the people, to speak to the people. He was always a powerful presence. Last night, he looked like he could barely keep up with his teleprompter. It was very shrill. It was one note. It was a greatest hits of all of his grievances.
It was
blaming Biden for everything.
It was a Stephen Miller propaganda piece. Sell people the dream and create an enemy. Attack the enemy, and we will bond because we have a common enemy. And sell them the dream. I mean, there's supposed to be like 3 aspects to good propaganda. We are together. We're a team. It's you and me against the world. And here's the dream. It's going to be so good. And that's the enemy.
Yeah.
So it has to hit. Those are the 3 hits. And that's what I think Miller was hoping for, but that's not what happened. People just don't believe in it anymore.
Well, something I was wondering, because we have been speculating that his own people are trying to do him in. The Republicans have had it. They're looking to throw him under the bus. And I'm even wondering if they played up to Trump's ego. Oh, Mr. President, you should go on television and give a big speech talking about all your accomplishments, when they knew full well he was going to make an ass of himself. I'm wondering if it was a setup.
I don't know, because I think that Stephen Miller really thought that, he really is like that playwright whose their show goes on Broadway and they're hiding behind the curtain listening for the laughs and waiting up all night to read the reviews. And that's really how I saw Stephen Miller in the remote, and that he's just waiting to see how he did. And I think they genuinely thought, we can do this, we can pull this off.
Well, then he gambled badly.
Yeah, and I just don't think it happened. I think that Middle America, he's lost Middle America, and unless something dramatic happens very, very quickly, they're not coming back.
Well, it's been pointed out that what we see of Trump is the best of Trump. We don't see all the behind the scenes faltering, which his people do see. So I have to believe Miller and others knew he was in no shape to get on live television and give a speech like that. That's why I wonder if it involved a setup, but it could be, as you're saying, he just gambled.
And evidently they don't want people to see him walking to the podium or away from the podium. So did it open with him standing at the podium?
I believe it did. Yes. Yeah.
And did it end with him standing at the podium?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a cover up.
Sure it is. Sure it is. Well, I mean, they used to do that with Franklin Roosevelt, but that was to hide his paralysis. They would, he actually would wear braces and they would prop him up at the podium. And when he was younger and healthier, he learned how to even swivel his hips so he could give the illusion that he was walking a few steps with a cane. But for the most part, they usually had him propped up behind a podium. And of course, in those days, it was easier to get away with such a thing. The news reporters and the newsreel reporters, what they covered on camera.
Wow. All right. Well, let's go ahead, you guys. Go ahead and give us your name or the name of someone you'd like us to pray for. And we're going to go ahead and blitz away. I know many of you have questions. Of course, people want us to check on Obamacare. They're very concerned about that. They're very concerned about the economy. We'll do our best to help. All right. We will go ahead and send prayers. Just give us your name or the name of someone you want us to pray for, and we will include you in our prayers today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, we say, Amen. And for those people today who are requesting healing, we come together as a community and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed.
May all souls be healed.
So Chuck, it looks like the other thing that is starting to heat up is there's a lot of backlash about ICE and the fact that many people, some of the people that have been arrested, some of them were U.S. citizens.
Yes.
It's interesting that Trump is in underwater in every area.
Every area that's been pointed out, every single poll Shows him just every issue underwater. Some of the worst numbers, I think, for a president in modern history, certainly the last 80 years or so.
Yeah.
I think the only president who had worse numbers were Donald Trump in his first term.
You mean he's doing better than his first
Oh
term?
no, I should have phrased that differently. He's doing worse now, but I mean, but the only president who rivaled him was himself during his first term. He had very bad numbers there as well.
Yeah. Now, because prejudice is on the rise, discrimination is on the rise, looking for scapegoats. I know that every Thursday you give a message through your trance medium. Chuck is a trance medium, and you meditate. You try to see who is going to connect. You have a message today from
Well, I do.
Ella Fitzgerald, I think. Is that correct?
It's a lighter message today. It's a chance even to work in a piece of artwork here. I've shown this before, but not for a long
my favorite
time.
piece, so that you, by the way, that's my, I feel that should be in a museum. This piece should be in a museum.
Well, this is the painting of Ella Fitzgerald when she was arrested in Houston, Texas. I'm trying to hold it back. She was in her jail cell, and the photograph moved me so deeply. Sorry, it's hard to hold a painting up to the camera. There we go. But I was so moved by the photograph of this great lady and the injustice of her being arrested and sitting in a jail cell. And the reason she was giving a concert in Houston, Texas in 1955. And officially, the reason the police came in, they claimed that there was gambling going on backstage amongst the musicians. But the real reason, she was playing to an integrated audience. And when I saw that photograph, I was profoundly moved by it. You know, I think I told the story before how I wanted to paint a pretty picture of Ella Fitzgerald. And I heard her say, no, I want you to paint that. That's what I want you to paint. And this is the painting. Whenever I show it to people, people get very moved by it. Very moved, you know, because I was just trying to capture the raw emotion. You know, this great lady.
Can you please show the painting again? And I'm going to go off screen, and I want you to tell people what happened on that day. Where was this? What was this event? And why was this so significant? Because I don't think people understand what this piece is. And so I'm going to go off camera and let you explain that.
Well, I more or less explained a lot of it. It was Ella Fitzgerald sitting in her jail cell, you know, just looking very sad, very bewildered. What did I do wrong?
Why was she in a jail cell?
It's because she was performing for an integrated audience in a jazz club. And of course, the police gave their official reason was they were claiming there was illegal gambling taking place backstage in the dressing rooms amongst the musicians, but it's generally acknowledged the real reason was she was playing to the integrated audience. And there's a photograph that I based this on. I was very moved by it. I couldn't get the photograph out of my mind, and she just touched my heart. And I felt that Ella wanted me to paint that. That's how she wanted to be represented. She felt like that was a very important moment in her life.
What I am struck by in that image, if you can show it again, is the look of confusion.
That's what
I don't know why I've just been smacked across the face. I just came to love you. I just came here to love you.
That's exactly it. Because
I came to love you and you beat me.
Yeah, because Ella was very innocent. She very sincere. She just came to play music and spread her love. That's all she was doing. She wasn't trying to be political or controversial in any way. So there was just something about that picture of her in her evening gown, her mink stole, her jewels, very much a lady, a great entertainer. And there she is sitting in a grimy little jail cell waiting for somebody to bail them all out. You know, so that's what I painted. And I when I do a painting like this, I just open my heart up and I just let the emotion, the energy come through. almost to where I don't know that I even take credit for it. I just let it come through me as it comes through. And I felt she was speaking to me. And she did speak to me today. You know, I wanted to have a message for the Thursday show, and nothing was really coming through. I think I've had so many heavy messages lately, and this one is a little lighter, maybe for the season, but it's just something. I asked her, well, Ella, is there anything you would like to say? So this is a short message, but I thought it would give me a chance to show that painting again. And also it was interesting because, you know, the way Ella sang, it was almost like improv, you know, her scat singing was improvisational jazz. There was something a little improvisational about this message as it was coming through. And I had to find a way to edit it to make it make sense, because it was coming to me kind of abstract to the point where I didn't even know if it was a message I could use on the show. But I'm just going to read what I have here. She just said, "My goodness, darling. Well, what happened to kindness? Cruelty should never be made to seem like something normal. People are so overwhelmed they focus too much on their own survival while pushing others away. The truth is, we are all taken care of and are being watched over by a multitude of higher beings. I wish people would just trust in this, in those higher beings. Trust in this more. We can be just like those higher beings watching over us by watching over other people all on our own. We all are angels, or at least we are capable of being this role for others. It multiplies the work and permits each of us to be an instrument, instruments of joy, love, and peace. It's so easy, and yet it makes a difference. When I scat sang, I was streaming a chain of melody as it was allowed to flow through me. It was an adventure for me, a roller coaster ride, a raging rapid river, a gentle beam of light where I often did not know where it at all it was going to take me. But I knew with assuredness to always trust the process and the final destination it was going to take me. It was my high wire act every bit as much as it was my safe space. It was my truth. I was never afraid. I trusted it. There was nothing fancy about what I did. I just sang out from the moment and where my heart was in that moment. We each have our own personal way of singing or expressing our art. We all imprint into what we do in beautiful ways that are meant to touch the core of people. They do not always consciously know this in their minds, but they most certainly feel it. They may not understand all of the words, but they understand the melodies. That was what made my work universal. I strive to never be political or controversial. I only wanted to spread love and happiness through music, which is so universal. This was my own way of flying. Each one of you needs to discover your own way of flying, to find out what makes you fly. This is something that no one can ever take away or lock away in a cage. That was the message she gave me, Whimsy.
Yes, I like that. You know, no one can really destroy they can harm us like she's harmed in that painting, and we can feel broken, but ultimately her spirit survived it.
Yeah. You know, I didn't even ask her to comment on this, but that last line she gave me, this is something that no one can ever take away or lock away in a cage. So I think that was her commentary on that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it was one of the more abstract messages, but that's what she gave me.
I think it was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Looks like our floor director is off to see Avatar.
Oh, Are you a fan of the Avatar movie, Swimsy?
I think that it's not the best screenplays, but
Yeah,
some people like it.
I've only seen the first one, and oddly
Yeah,
enough,
one was enough for me. It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
I'm not into sci-fi, that type of thing either, but yeah, it was good. But I never got around to seeing the sequel, and they even aired it on ABC the other night. I still haven't seen it, and now here the third one's coming out. But anyway, what was the comment there? Did we miss? What did
Oh, he's just going to, oh, these are just people that are
Okay.
commenting on some of the stuff we've talked about. I just thought I would. I heard Amazon workers qualify for food stamps.
That's terrible.
God. Yeah, but the companies that are advertising, it's not Amazon. Amazon is advertising their business, but you're buying from an independent business. So there's good and bad about Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I assume by workers they mean the people who pack the boxes and the delivery drivers and that type of thing.
Well, I think what's happening is that they're temps, and so they're not necessarily given full-time work, and so that's what
probably not. And yet Bezos had a $50 million wedding in Venice. Oh well.
Having trouble seeing my I guess they're having trouble seeing my let's see here.
Yeah, and come to think of it, your light has flickered a few times, I've noticed.
Hold on a second.
Maybe it's your crystal ball.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Is that how we do it?
I don't know. I was going to say also Amazon is going further and further into robotic workers, robots to pack the boxes and things. So they have less people to hire to give jobs to.
People wanted to see it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Can you guys see it better now? It's good. Better now, right?
Looks good to me.
I could do something like that. That's just like straight across, but
yeah.
All right.
Well, Geocosmic Valentine said I was talking about the crystal ball.
Yeah. I'm.
Oh wait, Geocosmic Valentine. We can't see it because Chuck is in the way. Meaning my screen. Do you want?
Oh, let's see here. So that's it. Isn't it pretty? You can get them on Amazon. So, yeah, that would be what it looks like. You can get the pure crystal. I saw one was, different prices depending upon who's offering them. But go with a smaller one if you can't afford the larger ones. And you can get the clear, I think they're made from glass. And those will run you less, like $75. So that might be the better way to go. But if you want crystal, it'll run you a bit more. Yeah.
I would think pure crystal would be have a lot more power.
Yeah, this is crystal. It definitely, I feel it.
Yeah.
I definitely feel it.
In fact, can you program your crystal ball?
I'm just wondering if you guys, I'm going to put you here. If you guys can see can you see the baby? I don't think you guys can see the baby. That's what I really noticed about this particular crystal, because when you get a crystal, you can, yeah, I don't think you can see the baby. Maybe if I put my hand there, you'll be able to see, you can see that the marks in it, that mark. Probably not. But yeah, that's the cool thing about them, is that there will be, even if you get something as polished as this, when you go into it, you'll see imperfection. And that's great. You'll see the cracks. You'll see, I thought this was amazing. I was like, oh, this is a crystal. And then when I took I thought it was just perfect. I was like, this is not crystal. I was like, you advertised it as a crystal. And then when I looked, I realized that it had all of the little cracks and stuff in the center. So yeah, that's whereas if you get glass, I don't think it's going to have anything.
Oh no, I don't think it would.
I think it still works though. Glass will work too, but
Well, I'm going to be excited to see what you come up with as you work with this ball.
yeah, absolutely mente.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, a lot of people with crystal balls. Cool. Well, let's see what's going on with questions here.
Well, including
Gramina
Catholic.
lucida. Yes, the camera obscura.
Yeah, yeah. Lucida, which means carrier of light. I said that about Lucille Ball. Lucille, the name is derived from that, carrier of light.
Yeah, like Lucifer.
But people have the idea, people hear tracing and they just assume that that's going to be easy. No, that's very hard to do. You have to have definite artistic ability to be able to trace properly, because you've got to be able to discern what to trace, what's dominant, and then to be able to capture all of the little subtleties there. I find it extremely difficult. It's much harder than just trying to draw freehand. Yeah. What a mess, DT. Who could that be? What a mess Donald Trump put us in, not Biden. Take some accountability, DT, and maybe you would have a tad more respect. Yeah, but very difficult to respect someone who doesn't respect anyone else. Oh yeah, the cliche, you reap what you sow. Yeah, that was the thing last night. Did you hear how many times he blamed Biden? He even said, "I inherited a mess." And that's where I wanted to throw a shoe at my television and go, "You stupid idiot. You inherited one of the best economies in the world, and you're the one who destroyed it." Yeah. But what was that? He said that we were a dead country last year, and now we're the hottest country in the world. And I thought, is that because you've taken us to hell, Donald? So we're hot. But anyway, let's see here. British military says they are going to be able to conscript men as young as 16 years old. Same day, a French military leader tells the French they should prepare their hearts to it cut off there. It should prepare their hearts to what?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's terrible. Raymond Di Pasquale, what do you think about the plaques that Trump added to the White House walls with his own critique of each, calling Obama and Biden the worst presidents in history and divisive? I knew we were going to end up talking about that today. Whimsy, what did you think of that? I mean, it's almost like, I think one of our commentators even said, it's like we're watching a South Park episode. It's like the jokes write themselves. Did you see those plaques?
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 years from now, people are going to be staring at, they're going to be staring at grandma like, what the hell were you
Oh, I
thinking?
think they're going to take those things down.
It's like, what the hell? How did you possibly think that this guy was going to do anything for you?
Well, it's absurd, because it's been pointed out that Trump wrote them himself, and it was pretty obvious because of all of the grammatical errors and the excessive use of capital letters, and the worst in all of history. And did you see for Biden, he had photographs. For Biden, he had a picture of the auto pen to represent Biden.
What a freaking jerk.
Oh, yeah, I know. What a jerk. And then there were some presidents like Reagan that he overly embellished. And, it's been pointed out that Trump has probably zero approval from any living president. So he's trying to manipulate dead presidents to compliment him.
All right. Let's see what the cards are for Jack Smith. And if you think Jack Smith is going to be one of the things that's an impetus to have Trump removed, because I think it's over. I think we can feel that it's over. They broke Congress early, sent everybody home.
Oh, yes. Before there could be another vote.
But they also dropped the Epstein files. All those Epstein files started to come out.
Those are supposed to be released tomorrow, aren't they?
Some of the pictures got released today.
Well, that I knew, but the actual files, I think, are supposed to come out tomorrow.
And they're scrubbing them for references to Trump, who was his best friend.
Yeah. No, I heard one commentator say it was going to be thousands of pages released, and it was going to take reporters at least a weekend to go over them. see what's in there. But you're right, a lot of it may just be scrubbed out. And also with the pictures today, you know, it was pointed out they could not release any pictures that involved underage girls, underage women.
Right.
So we weren't seeing the whole, shall we say, the whole picture. But anyway, what are we asking Whimsy of the cards?
I just want to look at Jack Smith's cards, and so I decided to just throw to see what was going on with him. The first thing that they're saying about Jack Smith is that he was a gift, that we have to kind of view what he did for the country as a gift, because this is the Ace of Cups. So you have this love or this gift, but you also have Justice, the Queen of Swords, who seeks truth absolute. His biggest concern is that the ball will be dropped by the FBI, because his concern is the King of Pentacles, and that's my FBI card, and there's grief and disappointment here. So I appreciate the maturity of Jack Smith. And his concern is that there's real evidence here and that the FBI is not cooperating. But there is some kind of a breakthrough between Jack Smith and the and Congress, because we have a 10 of Cups moving in, and then we have justice coming over the courts, evidence, and then this is more confirmation that it's the courts, the FBI, and he will not be used as a tool by anyone. That is what Jack Smith wants. He's not a political tool. He's an investigator, and he does. And he's very Two of Swords. He very much is just an investigator. He's just a prosecutor, and he doesn't want to be the tool of anyone.
Yeah.
But I think he made progress.
Yeah. I hadn't really pulled that many cards because I didn't realize we were going to start already on that. That was my goof. That's why I asked you what we were doing. But anyway, it usually gives me something right off the bat. And the first card that fell out, interestingly enough, was truth. The truth will, they say the truth will set you free. The truth will come out. I don't think he has anything to worry about, because I got celebration card that he's going to emerge fine from all of this.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Ace of Cups and justice moving in.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? How long can Trump's shell game go on? I think we're seeing the beginning of the end now.
Oh, we are. It's so interesting because that analogy of the emperor has no clothes. That's exactly what we saw last night. But I mentioned this to you before the show because you had that visualization. What was it, 3 months ago, where you saw Trump naked, and there was nothing, of course, anything sexual to it. It was just Trump very pale, very weak, very vulnerable. It was his vulnerability, but he was naked, and I realized, no, that's what you were seeing. The emperor has no clothes. Trump's vulnerability, everything is just out there to be seen. I don't think he's ever been more vulnerable than he was last night.
Right. And no, I don't feel it's coming back to him. His Four of Swords, it's all about the economy. Two of Swords. Sorry. I don't think Trump can come back from this. I think it is over. I think that.
See, that's why I was wondering, because we've known that the Republicans and his inside people. Sorry about that. I tell people not to call me. They do it anyway. We've known that it's going to be inside his own people. The Republicans want to get rid of him. And that's what, when I watched that speech, I kept thinking they set him up. They like, oh, Mr. President, go out there and show them how wonderful you are. Get out there in front of the cameras and speak, when they knew he was going to make an ass of himself. Basically exposed him.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think the end is coming. Now, how long? You're much better at this with your tarot cards because you can determine frames of time.
Yeah, I use wands. Yeah.
Wands. Do you think that would be a good thing for you to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, they said it was over in 5 months, and that was July 17th. And so he gave his speech yesterday. It was 5 months to the day. And it was also when they dumped more Epstein stuff. And I think that the takeaway here is, no, it's only going to go downhill from here. So he goes on vacation, They run from taking a vote. They know it's bad. And I think that his health is going to crash. If he were my patient, he can't fly long distances.
Right.
Everybody hates him. He goes back to Mar-a-Lago, and winter's coming. And I think it's going to be real hard for a guy with congestive heart failure post stents with probable type 2 diabetes, obesity, a compromised immune system, dementia, and everything else. I think that we're going to see a quick descent from now. I think that we're seeing the crash now.
Yeah, his dementia seems to be getting worse, and that alone would make it harder to move him to different locations, because he seems like he's getting more disoriented. There's even been speculation, how they put names like this is the Oval Office outside, like you would tape a sign on a room so people know where they are.
It's really bad.
I know. But, someone before that, there was a comment about how he was like a toddler yelling into the microphone. And I was thinking as I was watching it is when people have Alzheimer's, many times they start reverting back to their childhoods, their childish behavior.
Reverting back? Was he ever an adult?
Well, yeah, that's being generous saying reverting. But in most cases, they go back to childhood behavior because, that's a long-term memory as opposed to short-term. And it's something tangible, something real to hold on to. And that's why a lot of Alzheimer's people will go back to their childhood. It's something familiar and comforting. In his case, it was probably just a nightmarish little toddler. I can only imagine when his mother went through it with him when he was 3 years old.
Yeah.
But I mean, taking the wrecking ball to the East Wing, all of this impetuous behavior, he's like, he's a man boy. Anyway,
Adderall and Xanax.
Yeah.
A 2-to-1 ratio, roll him out.
Yeah.
Make sure he's got plenty of Diet Coke.
Tranquilize him enough, but get him amped up at the same time. That's a delicate balance.
Yeah, I don't know anybody paying. Maybe
yes, that was his other comment about how gas is under $2 a gallon in many states. I thought, well, you certainly haven't been to California. There's some gas stations here where it's as high as $7.
Well, I think it's the southern states. They're doing pretty good. $2.65 in Louisville, Kentucky. That's pretty good.
Wow, that's enviable. I'd love to have gas like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know of anywhere you can get gas under $5 here.
Yeah, well, they like to beat California up, which makes no sense because it's a gas-producing state. So help me understand that.
I've never understood it either. Believe me, a lot of Californians don't understand that one.
Yeah, it seems like we should be doing pretty well considering.
Yeah. Oh my God. And what he also said about pharmaceuticals, how he was going to cut the cost 400, 500, 600%. And someone wrote today and said, well, if that's the case, when you go to pick up your prescription, the pharmacist is going to have to Venmo you money. How do you cut that much? It's mathematically impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, right? So you have going after immigrants. So you have the bad immigrants and you have the good immigrants. And most Somali people are not scamming. They're just nice people. I know a lot of people from Somalia, but I don't think the average Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat, full disclosure. I very much want to know that psychopaths, rapists, and killers from other countries are not coming here. And I feel like we need to have a functional immigration policy. So I don't think most Democrats have a problem with crazy people being denied entrance into the United States. I don't know any Democrat that believes in an open door policy.
Of course.
So it's kind of like a straw man argument that we don't want security for our country.
Yeah.
But we do want security, but we also don't want this kind of random terrorizing anybody with dark skin and dragging Native Americans off on reservation. It's a fake ID, telling a Native American not far from the reservation. What's it called? Spring something reservation in Eastern Washington. They were grabbing people. Eastern Oregon. I mean, like, give me a break. I mean, that's crazy behavior. But yeah, religious Islamic extremists that are opening fire on people. Why was the guy in Australia? He was a supporter of Islamic Brotherhood, and they were going and getting military training in the Philippines. The Philippines is falling to Islamic extremism. Thailand is falling to Islamic extremism. Yeah, I think these are real security issues, and I think they have to be addressed without the fear that you're going to be called a racist because you're concerned that known terrorist groups are moving in, whether it's Australia or anywhere else. Not which is not the same as the majority of people from Somalia that are just regular people. But I think most people are intelligent enough to realize that. Don't you think so?
I would certainly hope so.
Yeah. So
it's about common sense, intelligence, and balance.
Yeah, just be, profits. I think it's about the money. Do you have anything to add there? Republicans own the medicinary. Do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add to that other than I agree with you on it.
Yeah, several Republicans have gotten into dispensaries, owning dispensaries. Who was the former Speaker of the House that stepped down, that voted for Trump? And he was under Obama. He was a Speaker of the House, and he stepped down under Obama. He owns dispensaries.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name, but
so Republicans were working, and Matt Gaetz is a huge pot lover. He wants to get it legal in, but I think we're now at 2/3 of the state, so it can probably be an amendment.
Yeah, I was wondering.
But like anything, it can be abused. I mean, it's also not entirely a good thing. It's like drinking alcohol. You can do too much of it.
You can abuse drinking water. There have been people who have died from too much water. But how many states have legalized marijuana? I was just
most of them now.
I thought it had to be close to
them.
that. So you're right.
Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee don't. But and Kentucky, I don't think doesn't.
Yeah.
And Mississippi, but everybody else does.
Sure.
Everybody else, you can just walk in and grab weed. So, because people started to realize that some people like to have a drink at dinner, or after dinner, they like to have a scotch. Or for people who don't drink alcohol, they like to smoke a blunt, right? And most people are not hurting anyone. They just like to unwind. They don't drink, and so they will have a little smoke, and I think that's fine. I went through my huge pot phase when I was living and after my divorce, I went to a doctor, and I went through. Then I had to kind of weed off of it, but I understand the concerns from both sides. It can be abused like anything, and but it also can help. I think it's much more medicinal and therapeutic than alcohol. You know what I'm saying?
Aren't there spiritual properties to marijuana as well?
It is the first herb that was used. It was originally used for remote viewing. It is the go-to plant. A lot of remote viewers use marijuana, so I can't really.
Isn't there like a goddess that pertains to marijuana?
Ganji, yeah. Well,
Ganji,
it was first discovered. It was piled in bricks. They would dry bricks in China, and they would burn them in the smokehouses, like Native American smokehouses. They would burn the bricks, and they would chant and do mantras, and they would remote view. And one of the main purposes of remote viewing was to spy on your enemies in the event of war. But that they found, cannabis bricks that were used. They were in the smoke when you would go into the smokehouses to fast and remote view and connect with spirits.
Yeah.
So a little bit, actually less toxic, I think, than alcohol. But like I said, anything too much of it is not good.
No. And I've even seen strange behavioral changes in people who do too much.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they're growing their own. Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, okay, amazing. That arrest was unbelievable. Ella was strong and beyond talented to be brought to such a sorrowful event. I agree. That's why it moved me so deeply. And Ella, when I wanted to paint her portrait, I heard her loud and clear say, "No, this is how I want you to paint me." It's like she wants that message to be perpetuated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad thing, I think, also is that we're still there. There are still people that think like this in 2025 that still are this racist, that we are still racist as fuck in this country.
I know.
And it's really the shame of our country. We got to get our own act together, man.
Yeah. You know that story about Marilyn Monroe helping Ella Fitzgerald? I don't know if you want me to even bring that up. I'll try to tell it real quickly. But, Ella, because of racial prejudice, it was hard for her to get booked into major nightclubs in the 1950s, early 60s. And it was Ciro's nightclub here in Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe went to the owner and said, "Look," because Marilyn knew what a draw she was. It wasn't ego. She just knew the power of her name and presence. She said, "If you hire Ella Fitzgerald, I will sit at a front row table every single night. I promise that," because she knew that would bring in the press and everything and get Ella noticed. And Ella said that was the most generous thing, because after Marilyn Monroe did that for her, she never had trouble again getting booked in a major nightclub for the rest of her life because of Marilyn's gesture.
And why was she having trouble?
Racial prejudice.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you would think that she was so famous that it wouldn't matter.
Well, she was famous, but maybe not as famous as she was going to become. I don't know. This was, I think, sometime around 1954, 55, and Marilyn Monroe just loved her and said, "Let me help you." And that's what happened.
A lot of remote viewers are talking about that they use I have a lot of my students here and a lot of graduates that use gummies and stuff when they remote view gummies. Yeah, these are all remote viewers.
The interesting thing is, Whimsy, I like to be, whenever I do anything like this, I like to be sober. I find that if I do anything, marijuana, alcohol, that gets in the way for me personally.
Yeah. I think you can go into a very, very deep trance. If you're trying to go into the heart and your heart is closed and you're using edibles because it makes you have universal love and you're having a real hard time loving people, I think that's why, because it opens the heart.
Right.
The heart lotus opens, so you have universal love. And that's the vehicle with which you do remote viewing. You have to have empathy and love for the target. And I think that's why so many of our remote viewers here today say, yeah, I do use some
I don't condemn it at all, because I think we should each do whatever is right for ourselves. I just meant
I can't, you know what?
Myself, it doesn't work.
I find that it is much easier to remote view using edibles. It is much, much easier to do because your heart opens. But a lot of people think you shouldn't get dependent, that you should be able to remote view without it. And you can, but it forces you to become a better meditator, I think, if you're not using anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same thing when I'm writing or doing my art, because I have a lot of artist friends who insist they need to be a little high to work. And I'm the exact opposite of that. It's an impairment. I guess that's just the way I'm wired.
That's good. I think that's really good. That's excellent.
Yeah. But Whimsy, why do you feel gummies specifically over smoked marijuana?
Well, smoking doesn't stay in the system for very long. If you are smoking, usually when I go down into an altered state, like I feel myself trance, and then I go into my gut, into my heart, and then I start, what's my heart feeling? What's my heart feeling? And your heart is like, I love this person. So I love everybody. I'm part of the universal love. I love Donald Trump. I love Elon Musk, and then, well, since I love you and I'm going to tell me, I want to know you. So, when you listen, you start to really take in stuff about people, and you get to that point where you're just like one with the other person. That's really the goal of an HCRV practitioner. And it's really hard for people if you have, if you're remote viewing someone you can't stand. So they will say, I'm going to take some edibles tonight because I got to go and love on this man and I don't like him very much. So I think that's really, let's be honest, ladies and gents, that's the real reason why you use it as a remote viewer.
I think a lot of people have to do that.
Because it opens the fourth chakra. Anyway, did you have fun today, my love?
I had fun.
That's
I had
why.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chuck,
so pretty. I love what you're wearing today.
Oh, thanks. I bought this in Guatemala. It's handmade.
Do you know that's one of my very favorite colors?
Oh, thank you.
I love that, and it looks so
scarlet. Good. Yeah, it's definitely my color. They say I look good in scarlet.
Well, you do. Yeah.
I was a little chilly today, so I'm trying not to blast the heat. Yeah, I'm trying not to blast the heat too much, so I just put this on me. Chuck, if people want to reach you for a tarot reading, remote viewing, or to commission you for a painting, how would they do that?
They would reach me. You can see my name there on the screen. It's just Dransfield Chuck, one word, @gmail.com. And I love hearing from you. And yeah, shoot me a message if you'd like. And also I have a channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and a little chat show on Mondays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Chuck's Captivating Chat.
I love it. All right. And if you need me to be your psychic spy, I can do that for you, to access information on your enemies, your friends, your lovers. It's my favorite thing to do. I love spying. I love accessing private information. I love breaking into documents. It's my thrill. I know. And people tell me I should feel guilty about this. Like when I got into Prokosian's documents, I loved it. I loved everything about it. Don't do anything in private you can't admit to in public, and then you're not going to have a problem with me and what I do for a living. That's what I tell people. So if you need to hire me for a reading or remote viewing, you can find all that information below. I'm also a medical intuitive and a naturopathic doctor. If you need some medical help as well, I can give you some coaching for that. All right, we are out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the stream. We'd be so grateful. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. You're awesome. Bye.